Yeah, you got us?
Yep. Yep. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us once again. We're joined by Director of Amateur Scouting, Mark Hillier, at the conclusion of this year's NHL Draft. So we'll get started with the usual process, and we'll begin with Ken Weave from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Ken.
Thanks, Scott. Afternoon, Mark. I know it's been a busy few days. How would you describe what you were able to get during this 2-day process? Maybe start with a scouting report on your first rounder, and then we'll maybe circle back from there.
Yeah, we were happy with our haul of the 5 picks. Got 5 players that can all skate and have some skill. Boumedienne, really good skater, puck moving defenseman, gets back to pucks quickly, beats pressure and moves the puck. Second power play guy, probably at the pro level, and kind of new age defenseman, skating, speed, puck moving.
We've talked a lot about decentralized draft. How did the process change, if at all, for you during these last couple of days here?
It didn't change the process for us. Same work involved, and it's the same for us. I mean, I would rather be on an arena floor with more atmosphere and buzz and pressure of the arena floor draft, but it worked out well for us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Weaver. Next, we'll move to Kelly Moore from CGOB 680.
Thanks, Browner. Thanks for doing this, Mark, after a very long day. You kind of gave a general overview. The third round pick obviously has some historic significance, and just the third ever Manitoba-born player and the first from the city to be selected by the Jets. What made Owen Martin the guy that you wanted to take in the third round?
Yeah, he's an intriguing player for us, has a pretty good size, really good skater, has some skill, but has a good, smart two-way game. Coached by Brad Lauer in Spokane. So he's got good development there. Had a really strong playoff this season. We expect those offensive numbers to even pop more next year, but really solid two-way guy.
I know, listening to people far more smarter than me talking about some of the draft picks on day 2, and there were some names that really popped off the page, whether it was because they were taken later or earlier, but Viktor Klingsell seemed to be one of those guys. I think, if I'm not misquoting one of the guys, they said it could have been the steal of the draft. What's the background on Viktor?
Well, hopefully he's a steal. We really liked him all year long. He's a well-known player. He's not the biggest guy in the world, 5'10", but we met him at the combine. He has a real solid frame on him, thick, solid 5'10". He can really skate, has really good speed. He played in all the international tournaments this year for the under-18 team. Plays in a good program in Skellefteå. And he's got good offensive upside. He's got some grit to his game. He's a dog on a bone on pucks. And he's a nice player.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly. Next, we'll move to Mike McIntyre from the Winnipeg Free Press.
Thanks, Brownie. Greetings, Mark. Might as well just finish going around the horn here. Edison, he seems like an interesting guy. Played in the USHL, but now he's headed to the OHL for next season, and then he's committed, I think, is it to Ohio State? So what can you maybe tell us about that path that he's on?
Yeah, that's what I think the plan is. Played in Dubuque. He'll go to Brantford next year and then on to Ohio State at some point. Using our analytics a little bit too, he's one of the best skaters that we thought was in the draft. So it's a good opportunity for us to take him late. We think there's more offensive ability to come from him in the future. But really, sort of like Boumedienne, he really gets back to pucks quickly, separates from the forecheck, and moves the puck quick. And we think if he can add a little to his offensive game in the future, we got a pretty good value pick there.
Yeah, and on the subject of value picks, like you look at last year's draft, and obviously it's too early to be taking victory laps on where guys are going to project, but some of your later rounders last year certainly had very nice seasons, and already people are talking, if there was redrafts, they would go a lot higher. In this day and age, just how valuable is it to try and find some diamonds in the rough later on in rounds?
Yeah, I mean, that's what separates things, right? That's where you get the value. I mean, we're expecting to get players in the top couple of rounds. If we don't do, I mean, it's a little tougher at 28 than it is in the top 10. You do your best, but you should find good players in the top rounds. But it's a bonus when you can hit on those 6th and 7th rounders. And I mean, you could say if you thought he was going to be that good, you would have taken him higher. But it's always nice to get those guys that pop in their after their draft year.
And then just final one for me, but just because we haven't touched on him yet, but Jacob, your last pick, Jacob, I guess 5'10", 170, maybe be viewed as a bit undersized, but what do you like about him?
Yeah, similar to Klingsell, lots of speed in his game, lots of quickness, and lots of skill, and he competes. He's 5'10", but he plays bigger than his size. So we like that pick there too.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. We'll circle back to Kenny Weeb. Go ahead, Ken.
Mark, just going back with Sascha, what was it like to see him go back with his peer group here? Obviously, we know he's such a young player at the NCAA level, but to see him back at the U18s and sort of be a dominant force, did that just reinforce some things, or did it show you another level of his game?
Yeah, reinforce some things where he played on the power play and stuff. He didn't get a lot of power play opportunity at BU. He might have played the second one where you played 20 or 30 seconds, but he was the main guy at the under 18. So his skill came out there. But, we saw the progression all year long where, the youngest guy in college hockey had, he was always in the lineup, but limited ice time the first half of the year. And then by the playoffs, the Final Four and stuff, he's, playing 24, 25 minutes. So there was really good progression all year.
Just a bigger picture. I mean, you always hear every year, every team's lists are different in terms of where the drop off was. Did you see a wide variation in terms of where guys went compared to your list, or how did that compare this year?
Yeah, I think the drop off was, like we were fortunate because, like you said, we had Boumedienne quite a bit higher than we picked him. And the drop off was further down the line for us. Like we had a few more players in a good spot in our list that we would have been comfortable taking at 28.
Okay, sorry, actually, Murad has one. He's having a technical issue here. Kevin Cheveldayoff mentioned the analytics modeling, Mark. Sorry, what degree did the analytics modeling help guess the order in rounds 2 to 7? Was it enough to save stress or find those diamonds in the rough?
Yeah, I mean, we use that model Kevin was talking about, where we use previous models to see which guys, might be the next picks coming up and stuff, how it differed from our list this year and stuff. I think, what we do in the later rounds is, we can put in the formulas, who's the best skater here, who has the best hockey sense, those type of things, and, give us a kind of a list on the fly of guys when we're working through the draft in the later rounds. So, we're looking at all different angles of it.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Okay, guys, and then we'll wrap up with a final one from Kelly Moore. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thanks, Browner. Mark, I think I know what the answer is after hearing your last response on Sascha, but because there was, I don't know if it's semi-volatility to that first round, was it an easy pick for Sascha, or was there a little bit of discussion from some of the other scouts about, hey, think about my guy for a second? What was that discussion like just before you?
When we meet, our final meetings were in May, but then we're meeting on Zoom every week after May, and we're meeting a few days ago here when we get here. And, I make it clear that everybody's got their own individual list, but when we start the draft here, it's the Winnipeg Jets list, and we're not straying off it in the first round there. And like I said, we had probably 3 players that we were comfortable in taking that were left on the board there, and we had them rated higher. And Boumedienne was at the top of that list, and he was going to be our guy.
Hey guys, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mark. Everybody
Thanks,
appreciate
guys.
your